It's Wednesday, August 17th, and this is your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski with the latest local news, including a fatal shooting in Bridgeport, an elderly man in critical condition after being pulled from a pool in Darien, and much more. We also talk about why a group of parakeets are on the move in Milford and mosquitoes testing positive for West Nile and Stratford. Frank Granito will have a look at local sports and a look at the forecast, and Donald Lang will take a look back on this day in history. But first, an elderly man was in critical condition after being rescued from a pool by police on Monday. Darien police responded to a Meadowbrook Road home on a report of an unresponsive man at the bottom of the pool. Officers immediately dove in and removed the man from a depth of about 6 feet. It was unknown how long the victim was submerged in the water, but he was not breathing and had no pulse when he was pulled from the pool. Officers conducted CPR for several minutes until Darien EMS arrived. The victim was then transported to Norwalk Hospital and was in critical condition as of yesterday. Police have not yet released the name of that victim. And the Connecticut Post is reporting that a man was fatally shot Tuesday night in Bridgeport as he sat in a parked car on Noble Avenue, and the driver of the car was wounded. 37-year-old Frederick Richardson, who lives at 483 Noble Avenue, was sitting in the front passenger seat of the vehicle parked in front of the house shortly after 11 o'clock at night when an unknown person approached the vehicle and opened fire. Police said both the driver and passenger were struck. The driver, who sustained a non-life-threatening wound, drove to Bridgeport Hospital when the passenger succumbed to the gunshot wound. Richardson's death is the city's 5th homicide of 2016. And in other news, mosquitoes trapped in Stratford have tested positive for the West Nile virus, according to the town's health department. The department announced Tuesday that the Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station reported Culex pippins mosquitoes that were trapped at Beacon Point on August 4th have tested positive for the virus. Health Director Andrea Bossavane said this has been a particularly bad season with a larger than normal crop of mosquitoes. With positive West Nile carrying mosquitoes, residents should double down on taking precautions. She said take quick and easy steps to prevent exposure and bites, like wearing long sleeves, especially at dawn and dusk, and to use insect repellent. Bossavane added that there is no local transmission of the Zika virus here in Connecticut. And Christina Beto, the town's environmental conservation administrator, noted that the town has started treating for mosquitoes earlier in July using a larvicide. But you can get a lot more information on that at stratfordstar.com. And state police are investigating an officer-involved shooting that happened Tuesday in New Haven. On August 16th at about 10 in the morning, officers from the New Haven Police Department, along with members of the New Haven Fire Department, were dispatched to 480 Ferry Street for a reported disturbance. The subject involved in that disturbance, identified as 38-year-old Roberto Orsini Rodriguez, was located on the first-floor lobby of the building. He allegedly charged at a police officer with a knife, at which time that officer fired several shots from his weapon. Orsini Rodriguez and the officer were transported to Yale New Haven Hospital. The officer was transported as a precaution. The identity of the New Haven police officer has not yet been released. And in other news, Hearst, Connecticut media reports that a boat overtaken by sudden thunderstorms on Saturday had to be rescued by Darien Emergency Services. According to police, they responded to a call about a boat taking on water on the Long Island Sound at about 8:20 in the evening. The victim, a 47-year-old Darien man, said he and his passengers were swimming when a severe thunderstorm suddenly came in. The boat stalled and began taking on water from its low back. Police and fire responded, and the Darien Police Department marine boat located the 47-year-old man. The Norotan Fire Department's boat took the 3 passengers, a woman and 2 men, back to shore, while Darien police towed the owner and his boat back to the Darien harbor. No injuries were reported. And 6 people, including juveniles, were shocked on the Scrambler ride at Ocean Beach Park in New London yesterday. The injuries were described as very minor and included a burn to one victim's hand. A full re-inspection will be conducted before that park reopens. Police also said they identified electrical issues that are being repaired by a licensed electrician. And in other news, House Republican leader A few technical difficulties, we apologize for that, but getting back to some local news. House Republican leader, State Representative Themis Claridis, attempts to adopt a cat inspired her and other lawmakers to strengthen animal shelter laws after she said she encountered ill kittens, dogs left outside in the heat, and deplorable conditions at the SPCA of Connecticut shelter in Monroe. Local politicians and animal rights activists gathered together at Monroe's Town Hall recently to speak out against animal abuse and announce their plans to strengthen laws protecting animals in shelters and rescues. The owner of the Monroe shelter, Frederick Aker, was recently convicted of 11 counts of animal cruelty in Ansonia Milford Superior Court on July 26th. He faces up to 11 years in prison at his sentencing on September 6th. He was also previously convicted of 15 counts of animal cruelty in Litchfield Superior Court in 2015. According to the Waterbury Republican-American, Deputy Assistant State's Attorney Matt Katoff said he hopes to close Aker's rescue for good. Aker has been on notice with local animal control since 2012, when local animal control officers noted that he had significantly more dogs than he was zoned for in his shelter. Claridis said that after learning about Aker's multiple convictions, she decided to look into the state's regulations for animal shelters and rescues and intends to develop a plan to close the loopholes for the next legislative session in January. There's a lot more on that story at MonroeCourier.com. But let's switch gears now and throw it over to Frank Granito for a look at the forecast. Frank.
Thank you, Kate. Mostly sunny today with low humidity and a nice breeze that'll keep temperatures in the low to mid 80s. Could be the best day we have seen all summer. Some afternoon cloud cover and the humidity will drop down later on today as we head into the evening. Partly cloudy tonight with a low of 66 degrees. Tomorrow will be a little bit warmer when the humidity is back on the rise, but it should still be pretty comfortable compared to last week. Temperatures in the mid to high 80s and mostly sunny throughout the day. Clear skies and a low of 71 degrees Thursday night, but expect those temperatures to be back on the rise as we head towards Friday. Friday, the temperatures will be in the high 80s, but again, it will feel like 100 degrees, maybe even hotter outside with the heat index back on the rise. Plenty of sun throughout the day and clear skies in the evening as we head towards what looks to be another hot weekend.
All right, Frank, thank you so much. We're going to step out for a break. When we come back, Donald Lang joins us to take a look back on this day in history. Frank has an Up-Mix sports update, and we have some more local news coming up after this. Have a sports injury or a slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care gives you direct access to an orthopedic specialist fast, without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Ortho Express can help. Coastal Ortho Express Urgent Care, open Monday through Saturday, now in 2 locations. The iPark building at 761 Main Avenue in Norwalk and 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien. Or go to coastalorthoexpress.com, like them on Facebook.
Hi, this is Leo Carl from Carl Chevrolet in New Canaan. And you've heard me talk about the Chevy Volt for years. The new model gets 53 miles on EV charge daily, plus 420-mile full range. But don't take my word for it. You need to come in and test drive the Volt yourself. Visit us at 261 Elm Street in New Canaan or online at carldirect.com.
Walter Stewart's Market in New Canaan is your time-saving local shopping destination for the best of spring. Find many of your favorite products, from great specials on everyday items to the freshest organic produce, artisanal cheeses, and grass-fed steaks. Drop off your knives to be sharpened, grab a beautiful bouquet of spring flowers, and stop in next door for a wine tasting. Plus, their personable staff is always ready to lend a helping hand. So stop in to Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street today, or shop online at stewartsmarket.com.
I really wanted something that felt like a home. Coming from a big house, I wanted the feel of a home as opposed to a condo. The construction is incredible, whether it's the floors, the fireplace, the moldings, the lighting. It's as peaceful as my home was in the middle of the woods. It feels like a house. It does not feel like a condo or a townhome. I feel like I'm in my house.
You're watching the HAN Network, and you're not alone. More than 1.5 million viewers have watched our live sports, news, and entertainment broadcasting since the network launched in August 2015. Advertise on the network that reaches Fairfield County, Connecticut's most engaged audience. Contact Advertising Director Jessica Murrin at 203-273-7312 or email jessica@han.network.
We're back on this August 17th edition of your coffee break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, and it's time to throw it over to Donald Eng to take a look back on this day in history. Don.
Well, Kate, it was peace, love, and fairly catastrophic aftermath. But first, though, we go to 1585. The first group of colonists sent by Sir Walter Raleigh land in the New World and established the Roanoke colony on Roanoke Island off the coast of present-day North Carolina. The colonists would disappear during the Anglo-Spanish War 3 years after the last shipment of supplies from England. Their disappearance gave rise to the legendary Lost Colony. There has been no conclusive evidence as to what happened to them. To 1877, a teenaged William H. Bonney is attacked and thrown to the ground by an Arizona blacksmith. Bonney panics and shoots the man, though witnesses said he had good reason to fear for his life. That was Billy the Kid's first killing. Fearing prosecution, he flees to Mexico, where he gets recruited into the Lincoln County War and seemingly fell in love with his own image as a notorious outlaw. But just how many men Billy killed is uncertain. He himself reportedly claimed he had killed 21 men, one for every year of his life, but reliable contemporary authorities estimate the total number is less than 10 and maybe as few as 4. To 1896. A Benz motor car, just like that one, strikes and kills 44-year-old Bridget Driscoll, the first ever pedestrian fatality. The jury returns a verdict of accidental death after an inquest, and no prosecution was ever made. The coroner, Percy Morrison, said he hoped such a thing would never happen again. Well, that hope turned out not to actually happen. Finally, now we go to 1969 for this.
It'll be 2 or 3 days before all the people leave the peace and quiet of the Catskill Mountains. It may be longer before this area returns to normal. Despite the problems, and there were many problems, though they were not as great as many people believed, this weekend says a lot about the youth of America. More than 350,000 people came looking for peace and music. Many said they learned a lot about themselves and learned a lot about getting along together and priorities. And for most, that alone makes it all worthwhile. Lem Tucker, NBC News, in upstate New York.
Oh my God, there aren't enough trash bags in the world. Anyway, on this day in 1969, Woodstock ends, sort of. It was scheduled to end Sunday night, but the music actually went on until mid-morning Monday. The lineup for the final day was Joe Cocker, Country Joe and the Fish, 10 Years After, Johnny Winter, Blood, Sweat and Tears, Crosby, Stills, Nash and Young, the Paul Butterfield Blues Band, Sha Na Na, and Jimi Hendrix. Our own Jim Cameron, by the way, a Tappan Zee toll taker that day, as 350,000 zonked out hippies all hit the bridge at the same time as the Monday morning commute. So that sounds like fun. With your look back in history for today, August 17th, I'm Donald Eng.
All right, Don, I think that was before Easy Passes existed too, so I'm sure that made it extra fun. All right, well, getting back to a little more local news, a Milford homeowner was treated for smoke inhalation after trying to put out a fire in a bedroom at a Bayshore Drive home on Tuesday. Milford Fire Dispatch received a 911 call from an alarm monitoring company at about 12:25 in the afternoon, reporting that activated fire alarm. Firefighters arrived on the scene and found the homeowner, who reported that there was a moderate smoke condition on the second floor. A hose line was advanced into the structure, where a fire was found in the second floor bedroom. Firefighters extinguished that small blaze rapidly and confined the flames to the bedroom. Smoke damage extended throughout the majority of the single-family structure, and the homeowner had made an attempt to extinguish the fire before crews arrived and was treated on the scene for smoke inhalation and exposure. But throwing it back now to Frank Granito for a Nutmeg Sports Update. Frank.
Thank you, Kate. And in case you missed Nutmeg Sports yesterday, we were joined by Warren Harding High School's head football and wrestling coach, Eddie Santiago. Harding's wrestling team was one of several Bridgeport schools' athletic programs that was recently canceled due to city budget cuts. Coach Santiago is leading the charge right now to raise $18,000 that is necessary to fund their wrestling program. Santiago and his supporters have started a GoFundMe page called Save Harding Wrestling, along with a 3-day wrestling camp that began at Monday, at which several other FCIAC, Connecticut, and college coaches were working out to show their support for both the wrestling community and the Harding program. The Bridgeport Police and Fire Departments have both shown their support, organizing events for the high schoolers and local young youth wrestlers this week that have taken place. Other programs that were cut included the indoor track, cross country, and golf teams at Bassick, Central, and Harding, along with boys and girls tennis plus boys lacrosse at Central and girls tennis at Harding. We'll have more guests next week talking about why the Harding wrestling program needs to be saved on Nutmeg Sports. And for more information on how you can donate, please go to GoFundMe.com, search Save Harding Wrestling, or follow their Twitter feed at WHHS Presidents. That's at WHHS Presidents. And Kate, I believe you're going to have more today on that interview on CT Pulse.
Yeah, CT Pulse at 12:30. Frank, you're going to join me, and we'll replay some of that interview that you did yesterday.
Okay, be great.
All right, it's a great cause. All right, well, getting back to some more news today, the Wilton Bulletin captured photos yesterday afternoon of a tree fallen on the Danbury Branch train tracks just south of the Cannondale station in Wilton. A call was made to Wilton police around 5 in the evening. Police informed the MTA, which had not responded to calls seeking more information. A check of the Eversource outage map showed that no power outages were caused as a result. Metro North's New Haven line service was also experiencing delays due to a disabled Amtrak train in the vicinity of East Norwalk around the same time that branch fell across the tracks. And according to a study done by the personal finance website Wallet Hub, Connecticut ranks among the bottom 10 states with bullying problems. To identify the states where bullying is most pervasive, Wallet Hub's analysts compared 45 states and the District of Columbia across 17 key metrics, ranging from bullying incident rate to truancy costs for schools to percentage of high school students bullied online. Bullying prevalence and prevention in Connecticut, as you can see, they rank 34th in the percentage of high school students bullied on school property, 33rd in the percentage of high school students bullied online, and 19th in the percentage of high school students who missed school out of fear of being bullied. But there's more statistics on any of our HAN network community news sites. And Shelton parents of Sunnyside Elementary School students were very unhappy to hear that the repairs to the school's leaky roof would not be completed until sometime in the summer of 2017. They heard that when they attended a recent Board of Aldermen meeting on August 11th. Father of a Sunnyside school student, Michael Gatos, said the slow progress of the project is a disgrace to the city and a result of negligence. Gatos said he hopes parents and students of Sunnyside will not be in the same position in the coming year. He added that what really frustrates him and other parents is that they are just finding out now that the project won't be completed when the mayor said he's known for over a month. Mayor Mark Loretti said he found out the selected contractor would not be completing the job back in July because of asbestos in the roof of the deck. More on that story at sheltonherald.com. And in Ridgefield, lights for the dog park on Prospect Ridge Road and the nearby commuter parking area were set to be ordered this week, with installation expected later in the fall. The plans are for 14 downward projecting lights, with 9 in the dog park and 5 at the commuter lot. The town, local dog owners, and contractor on the job, Santella Electric Company of New Canaan, will likely have to wait until October or November for those lights to arrive on shipment from the manufacturer. The Ridgefield Planning and Zoning Commission approved the project last December. A neighbor from a senior citizen housing north of the dog park had expressed concerns about the lights keeping residents awake, but the commission has required that those lights be turned off by 8:45 at night. And finally, when monk parakeets first showed up in Milford on the western side of the city perhaps 20 years ago or so, they were a bit of a novelty. But not so much anymore, the Milford Mirror reports, as those noisy birds can be found in many Milford locations, building nests in trees and, to the chagrin of power companies for a number of years, atop power line poles. The parrots were recently spotted in downtown Milford near City Hall, where they join the already abundant population of geese and ducks near that pond. Frank Gallo, Associate Director of the Connecticut Audubon Society Coastal Center, said he doesn't think the birds have settled near the downtown duck ponds, but are rather moving around looking for food. Typically, the birds nest closer to the water. Their huge, sprawling nests can be found in various shoreline parts of Milford, including Milford Point and Woodmont along Gulf Street and in neighborhoods near the Audubon. The monk parakeet is native of South America, and it builds its bulky stick nests among branches, but many North American cities now have local colonies of monk parakeets established by birds that escaped from captivity. We are going to step out for a break, and when we come back, we're going to recap some of the top stories we're following today on your coffee break after this. For more than 50 years, Triple S has been Fairfield County's expert service for carpet, upholstery, and drapery cleaning. We provide the best in repairs and in-depth restoration, understanding fabrics and how to properly clean and restore them. Our staff will come to your home to clean your wall-to-wall carpet to perfection. We can also pick up your fine carpets and bring them to our facilities. With locations in Norwalk, Stamford, and Stratford, Triple S will get the job done fast, big or small. At Triple S, you can count on our people as well as our cleaning. Find us at triplesclean.com or 203-847-8000.
I really wanted something that felt like a home. Coming from a big house, I wanted the feel of a home as opposed to a condo. New Canaan is 6 minutes down the road. New Canaan's a beautiful little town to walk around. I work in Westport. My commute is 20 minutes. It's close to Westchester where my family is, so the location is ideal. There is no other townhome that compares in the area. This is where I want to be.
At Cabbage Patch Nursery School in Ridgefield, playtime is learning time. Using out-of-the-box activities and programs in science, dance, Spanish, Taekwondo, and so much more, learning is made fun. Aside from interactive classrooms, our center features a sensory room, computer lab, and a large outdoor space for playtime fun. Our carefully chosen staff believe in a supportive, safe environment and keeping you updated on your little one's experience. Cabbage Patch Ridgefield, helping shape your child's future. 29 Farrar Lane in Ridgefield. Call 203-340-1250 to register today.
I'm John Kovach. I'm a newspaper editor. I'm a high school football coach. I'm a television presenter. And I want you to love fishing as much as I do. Tune in to Yankee Fisherman, Thursdays at 1 on the HAN network. It's like going to the tackle shop without leaving your office.
I'm Frank Granito.
And I'm Donald Ing for the HAN Network.
Tune in to Nutmeg Sports Monday through Wednesday, where we bring you all the top stories for Connecticut sports.
From players and coaches' interviews to expert opinions with local sports editors, no one gets you closer to Connecticut's games than Nutmeg Sports.
Nutmeg Sports Monday through Wednesday at 2 p.m. on the HAN Network.
We're back on this Wednesday edition of Your Coffee Break on the HAN Network. I'm Kate Czaplinski, recapping some of the top local stories that we're following today, including that an elderly man was in critical condition after being rescued from a pool by police on Monday. Darien police responded to a Meadowbrook Road home on a report of an unresponsive man at the bottom of the pool. Officers immediately dove in and removed the man from a depth of about 6 feet of water. It was unknown how long the victim was submerged in the water, but he was not breathing and had no pulse when he was pulled from the pool. Officers conducted CPR for several minutes until Darien EMS arrived. The victim was transported to Norwalk Hospital and remained in critical condition yesterday. Police have not yet released the name of that victim. And the Connecticut Post reports that a man was fatally shot Tuesday night in Bridgeport as he sat in a parked car on Noble Avenue, and the driver of the car was also wounded. 37-year-old Frederick Richardson, who lives at 483 Noble Avenue, was sitting in the front passenger seat of the vehicle parked in front of the house shortly after 11 at night when an unknown person approached and opened fire. Both the driver and the passenger were struck by the gunfire. The driver, who sustained a non-life-threatening injury, drove to Bridgeport Hospital, where the passenger succumbed to the gunshot wound. Richardson's death is the city's 5th homicide of 2016. And mosquitoes trapped in Stratford have tested positive for the West Nile virus, according to the town's health department. The department announced Tuesday that the Connecticut Agricultural Experiment Station reported that Culex pipiens mosquitoes trapped at Beacon Point on August 4th have tested positive for the virus. Health Director Andrea Bossavain said this has been a particularly bad season with a larger than normal crop of mosquitoes. With positive West Nile virus carrying mosquitoes, residents should double down on taking precautions, including wearing long sleeves, especially at dawn and dusk, and using insect repellent. And in other news, state police are investigating an officer-involved shooting that happened Tuesday in New Haven. On August 16th at about 10 in the morning, officers from the New Haven Police Department, along with members of the New Haven Fire Department, were dispatched to 480 Ferry Street for a reported disturbance. The subject involved in that disturbance, later identified as 38-year-old Roberto Orsini Rodriguez, was located in the first floor of the building. He allegedly charged at a New Haven officer with a knife, at which time that officer fired several shots from his weapon. Orsini Rodriguez and the officer were transported to Yale New Haven Hospital. The officer was transported as a precaution. The identity of that New Haven police officer has not yet been released. And Hearst, Connecticut media reports that a boat overtaken by sudden thunderstorms on Saturday had to be rescued by Darien Emergency Services. According to police, they responded to a call about a boat taking on water on Long Island Sound at about 8:20 in the evening. The victim, a 47-year-old Darien man, said he and his passengers were swimming when a severe thunderstorm suddenly came in. The boat stalled and began taking on water. Police and fire responded, and the Darien Police Department marine boat located the 47-year-old man. The Norotan Fire Department's boat took the 3 passengers, a woman and 2 men, back to shore, while Darien police towed the owner and his boat back to Darien Harbor. No injuries were reported. And finally, House Republican leader State Representative Themis Claridis attempts to adopt a cat inspired her and other lawmakers to strengthen animal shelter laws after she said she encountered ill kittens, dogs left outside in the heat, and other deplorable conditions at the SPCA of Connecticut shelter in Monroe. But we're going to talk a lot more about that story on CT Pulse coming up at 12:30. Before we wrap things up, let's get a final look at the forecast with Frank.
Thank you, Kate. Again, absolutely beautiful day and a low humidity, steady breeze, keeping temperatures right in the mid-80s, partly clouding tonight as we head into Thursday, where we'll see the humidity back on the rise a little bit and temperatures getting up towards around 87 or 88. But really, Friday looks like it'll be the hottest day of the week. Temperatures will hit 89. But with the heat index, it will feel a lot closer to 100 degrees as it looks like we are in for another hot and humid weekend, Kate.
All right. Thanks so much, Frank. I think we're going to wrap things up here on your coffee break. Josh is out this week, but we will still have CT Pulse for you at 12:30. We'll be talking about Trump's recent visit to Connecticut, as well as more on that story about shelter laws and strengthening them by Republican legislators. And, of course, more on the Harding wrestling team and their efforts to save that program. That's all coming up at 12:30. Nutmeg Sports at 2 o'clock. We will see you tomorrow for your coffee break at 11. Have a great day.